You know an episode is going to be good when the cold open is a montage of how it ends, followed by a 24 hours earlier. Salt Lake City likes to do that a lot. They like to throw in like the fast forward to the rewind. I knew it was going to be a good one for two reasons. One, the cold open, like I just said, but also there was a boat fight. And there's just something about fighting on a boat that feels so familiar and lovely. You know what I mean? It just does. All right, today we're talking about the Valley, and it was a pretty good one. You know, not too much Jack stuff, and there was enough dynamics going. I thought I was entertained. So last week I was ready to cancel the show. This week maybe not so much. Anyways, all right. Before I get into it, make sure you are subscribed, following the show. If you're watching on YouTube, give me a like and a comment. All right, let's do this. Zach is barely keeping this event together. You can tell I didn't realize he was also juggling a whole event going on downstairs through the hotel, like servers, bartenders, entertainment. And they're all just waiting for them to come down from surprising Kristen in the room. Okay, so Zach addresses, this part got me. Zach addresses Janet not being there. But why are Brittany and Jasmine and Michelle acting like Janet was uninvited when Janet called Zach and was like, I think I maybe shouldn't be there for the dinner or whatever. And Zach was like, okay, like if you don't want to do that, that's fine. But Zach would have never been like, you can't come. And is that why he was calling? I don't know. Maybe he was calling to uninvite her. But it just was weird because Janet was like more than happy to do it. We'll get to Janet in a second. Brittany's wasted though. And Brittany has said it was like one of the worst days ever for me. I'm going to give her, she was going through a lot. And Jasmine and Brittany get each other riled up. And Zach is so confused too. He's like, wait, why are you guys coming at me? And Brittany's all slurring. She's like, they spent all this money and stuff. I don't know. I feel like you should have invited them or something, whatever she slurs. And he's like, wait, what is happening? Actually. Well, then the big question, where are Danny and Nia? Danny and Nia, who were on the same boat Kristen and Luke came in on. So it would make sense that they would not be exactly where you guys were. And Jasmine is very upset about this. Okay, now I am going to admit something I don't like. I don't love this quality about myself, but I can see myself in Jasmine because when we find out in the after show that the reason she was in such a bad mood was because she had been blowing up balloons in a hot room, sweating. She was annoyed and she let herself spiral into the that's not fair black hole. And so I would do this at work when I worked in the restaurant business all the time. I would be running around like a chicken with my head cut off. And I'd be like, look at that manager over there. They're not doing anything. And I would spiral about it. I would get so mean and so pissed off and just in the worst mood. But it's not a good thing to do. But when you start to perceive yourself as in a position that you are treated unfairly and then you start doing the math on other people and she's already got a thing for Danny and Nia. I think that's just who like Brittany and Jasmine pick on when they're drunk. Jasmine got in her loop in her head and was like, oh my God. And then I had to blow up balloons. I have to do that job. Why do I always have to do that job? Why do I always have to be the one running around? Why do I have to be the one sweating? And alcohol doesn't help either. Alcohol, once you get in the loop, and then Brittany was also in a mood and ready to be, she was all pissed off because she didn't know what was going on with the engagement. And again, drunk, they're all, day drunk too. So I could relate to Jasmine in a way that I wish I didn't. Because I'm like, oh, I feel like this is what I looked like at Soho House, where just like irrationally upset about things. And then Brittany goes, well, if no one else is going to be held accountable to do things, then I'm going to leave. Zach goes, whoa, stop this. Jasmine all riled up. She's like, if they're not going to be here, why do we have to be here? Because it's for Kristen. What? It's for Kristen. What are you talking about? And Zach just goes, you guys are literally crazy, walks away. And then Brittany's upset, obviously. So she tries to go over there and be like, I'm sorry. And he's like, I don't care about Danny and Nia. Can we just be here for Kristen? And Brittany's like, I don't care about Danny and Nia. Okay. Kristen, I related to Kristen. She's like, I love this. Thank you everyone so much. But this is a lot of attention right on me to do something. And I don't like it. And I understand that feeling. That's like when people sing happy birthday to me. Oh, how dare you? Don't ever do that. I will start crying. It's too much attention. Shortly after Luke and Kristen arrive, Danny and Nia come in. Oh, and now it's like, and they show up after Kristen and Luke? Are you serious? Oh my God. It's just like, by the way, though, Aaron, Michelle's weird boyfriend, he arrives even after the fire performance. So, and then he goes over to Luke. Oh, it's so weird. I'm sorry. He freaks me out, this guy. He goes to Luke and he goes, hey man, you beat me to it. And Luke, you could tell Luke is like, what the fuck? You guys just started. He's like, well, we got a couple years on you, so beat me to it. What are you talking about? Alrighty. His eyes freak me out. Aaron's eyes, they freak me the hell out. I'm just confused that it doesn't freak Michelle out. Like they're bugging out of his head. Kristen is like, guys, don't say anything. I don't want anyone to find out. She even says, I'm worried about Janet telling Jared. And we'll get to both those people in a second. That's the least of her. We'll get to that. We'll get to that. So she's clearly aware, no one needs to be telling their friends, texting people. Please just keep it here. All right. So Zach, probably in his frustration, not thinking too clearly, he tells Nia and Danny that they should have conversations with everyone. Everyone was really upset because you guys were not there and on time. And Nia has to talk Danny out of saying something, which was the right move. But also, Zach, you shouldn't have told them that. You shouldn't have told them that. You could have told them that tomorrow because you just wanted them to get through the event, right? Well, after Luke and Kristen take to the bedroom, so the rest of the gang gather in the big hotel suite that connects to Jason and Janet's room. Honestly, at this point, I was like, now, Janet, this is on you. There is no reason why she couldn't pop out and just hang with them, both of them. I know what it's like to be like, I want to go to bed, but Kristen and Luke weren't there, and the rest of the people there all like you. It was Jasmine. It was Brittany. It was whatever. So there was no reason that Janet couldn't be like, hey, guys, and just chill, because they let a camera come in there to film them and be like, this is so weird. But just let them go outside and say hi to your friends. Now you're losing me here. Now, Janet, I mean, not like you had me, but you know what I mean. Well, by the next morning, Jax knows. And what we find out in the after show is what Jax had told Kristen when Kristen's like, how do you know? He's like, oh, it's all over the internet. So he just put her into a full tailspin, but it was just Brittany, all right? Brittany's like, I told him, but I told him not to say anything. Kristen's like, well, he texted the boys chat. Are you kidding me? Why would he do that? Brittany. This is where I'm saying Brittany's not smart. And she's simple. She really is. Okay, Kristen and Brittany meet up for a little picnic thing, which was a cute setup. Was this plan? I couldn't tell. Was this plan before Brittany told Jax? or was there already a plan? Was Kristen already going to talk to Brittany about Janet? And then they just happened to add that to the top of the conversation. Brittany's reason for telling Jax, it's just very simple. She's like, I just thought that somehow he knew, which in a weird way, I don't know. She's not quick enough for me to feel. It's hard to get mad at her for this because you could tell she is so mad at herself, but just made a stupid choice. I'm sorry, it just reminds me so much of my friend. We these people that make these dumb choices and you're like, what are you doing? Oh God, anytime I've ever gotten super mad at this friend too, I feel so bad later because you're just they're just innocent somehow. They're just, it's you can't get more mad. I don't know. Anyways, once they get past that stuff, Kristen brings up the Janet situation and girls' night and how she was screaming at her and all Brittany said was, Janet, come on. the way Brittany goes, so you want me to stand up more? I'm like, that's so simple, isn't it? It's so simple. But yes, obviously she wants you to stand up more. Now, I will point out in the after show, Jasmine even confirms, or at least in her experience, that Brittany will let Janet vent about Kristen and Zach, but Kristen and Zach can't vent about Janet to Brittany without Brittany being like, guys, don't say anything, don't do that. So Jasmine is an observer of this as well and can concur. And I had this idea about Janet as a friend, like in a group, because there are certain people that come in that just like take up a lot of the energy of a friend group. And Janet is that person. And you know who else that person? Sheena. Sheena's that person. So hearing their origin story of friendship, I'm like, yeah, it makes total sense. Sheena would be friends with a fan. Sheena would be friends with a fan. She would love a fan. Are you kidding? Especially early on. So it just totally makes sense that Sheena would not be weirded out by that. And who wouldn't want to just be my friend because they're a fan of me? And, you know, it totally makes sense to me now, the way they've become friends. And Janet is that person that is very prickly and and not difficult. It's like a nice term for it. But I would even say manipulative. I would say that as well. But when she has a feeling and when she has a thought, that's the correct feeling and the only one that you can have. That's the vibe Janet gives off. But what Brittany says about Janet is interesting because this is also the way my friend talked about the big fights that we were having with the other friend of hers. Like she was stuck in the middle. And she said, Janet has my trust. She's been there for me and she's been a good friend to me, just like Kristen has my trust. And it's a tough thing because, you know, Janet has been there for Brittany. Now they live close to each other and, you know, whatever. And so Brittany's experience with Janet is different. And then at what point do you say, because of how you treat these people, I don't know. I don't feel bad for Brittany at all being in the middle of this. I think Janet is just like, unbeknownst to a lot of the group, like Janet was kind of the energy sucker. And people had to like everyone's very focused on Janet. You know what I mean? Everyone's like, is Janet okay? Like, is Janet okay? Or what does Janet do? Very much that type of a thing. And the way she was, when they get on the boat and the way she was like pouting off to the side, I'm like, yeah, this type of shit is the type of shit you do. Where people, your friends are like, is Janet okay? Is she mad at me? That type. Oh God, I see it. I see it. And I would have been friends with someone like Janet for sure. Because I would have made that mistake. But she's, not a fan. Well, speaking of the boat, Luke's outfit on the boat was an assault. Okay? It was an assault. You can't wear like, you can do that. You can go for that, but it has to be better executed. It looked like it was thrown together last minute, but I felt like I could see his actual penis and balls and ass. It's like, I think he was wearing nude trunks and he needed to be wearing like a white short. No, white trunks. He was wearing nude briefs. So I even looked up men's underwear so that I could figure out what was wrong with this outfit. That's how I was like, what could he have done? You know, because yes, was it a bold choice? Yeah, but it was like, but not in a way, it was just bad, poorly executed. It was like bad drag. That's what it was. It was bad drag. That's going to be the title of this episode. A listener reached out to tell me that they tried Vionic shoes because of my suggestion. They were life-changing. Now, if you are not somebody who has chronic pain in their feet, ankles, knees, hips, first, what's it like to be God's favorite? But second, then this is not for you. You don't understand. For those of us who have to struggle like this, we know. We've tried it all. We've tried every insole. We have tried every type of orthotic shoe there is on the market. And when you think of an orthotic shoe, you think of the ugliest looking shoe. But see, Vionic has done something, okay? They do this bio-motion technology in all their shoes, but they can somehow also make chic, stylish shoes. I don't understand what they're doing. I am obsessed with my Monarch sneakers with the leopard print detail. And because of the VioMotion technology, I feel like a whole body balance, because it starts with your feet for sure. But if you have knee pain, ankle pain, hip pain, all of this is connected. The Uptown loafer is also a very smart flat. It's part loafer, part sneaker. Same amazing VioMotion technology. You can wear them anywhere. You can dress them up. You can dress them down. If you haven't already, go to www.vionicshoes.com and use code SHESPEAKS at checkout for 15% off your entire order. That's vionicshoes.com, code SHESPEAKS at checkout. When you log into your account, and one-time use only. Okay, like I said, Janet and Jason sit off to the side, and she's like pounding. She's like, Kristen's being cold, but everyone's getting seasick. You guys, that would be me. I hated it for them so bad. I'm sorry. I would have been like, get me off the fucking, turn the boat around. Every single person except for like 2 were nauseous. And you have to have Dramamine. You have to have Dramamine. But the problem is Dramamine makes you sleepy, and you will pass out. But it's better than being nauseous, I think, right? But everyone's feeling gross. And they're out there for so long. You know how to be on a boat for that long. Oh, God. That's the way one of my besties and I became so close. We met at a yacht party, putting that in quotes. And both of us were so seasick, hanging over the side, like throwing up, but like talking in between throwing up. We did get a little insight into how Jesse became, like his villain origin story, because Michelle's telling Janet that when they first got together, he was like humble and lived in a 1-bedroom apartment. But as he got money, he became a douche, which is so embarrassing for Jesse. Okay, because it's exactly, he reads like new obnoxious money. And even that feels, it doesn't even feel like that, like enough money to act the way he does. Schwartz films another scene with Jax, and I think Schwartz's life flashes before his eyes with every scene he films with Jax. Because now this one, Jax is telling him something about how, first Jax tells him right away, Kristen and Luke got engaged. Oh my God. He's like, I'm going to text Dodie. He's like, wait, you're not supposed to know. So already we're off to a great start. But it's actually good to see Jax talking about how he's trying to get back together with Brittany, because this is his pattern. Like, he's like, I'm just like wondering, did we exhaust everything? Did we go to therapy? I just got out of rehab. She didn't even give me a chance to prove anything. Can we at least try to go to therapy first? And you see Schwartz like, I'm going to die. Like, I can't do this. No. But this is what, like, after the way he's treated Brittany, we've seen it, we've heard it, we've, all the texts, whatever, then he still thinks he can pull this. All he had to do before was this type of shit. Like, did we try? Did we not? And we're going to see next week him being like, you can throw away 10 years, but I can't. Like, so manipulative. Like, you didn't force her to do it. And then when she's going to do it for real, you need to pull her back in, because this is the narcissist, the sociopath. So I'm glad actually we are seeing it, because damn, dude. Zach talks to Brittany on the boat. He's like, you told Jax. And she's like, I know, I shouldn't have done it. But this is a cute conversation. He asks the divorce papers, are you signing? She's like, oh yeah, I'm signing. But now, okay, Michelle and Janet talk on the front of the boat about the conversation that Michelle had with Zach regarding Jenna. Zach's point, when he had what looked like maybe lunch or something with Michelle, this was before they went on the boat. Zach's point is that Janet and Sheena are actually the ones bringing it up. So Janet's like, are you fucking serious? Are you serious? And she goes and yells up at Zach to come down, join the chat. And he's like, yeah, okay. He even like looks at his drink kind of weird. He's like, uh-huh. And then he goes and gets Kristen. He's like, will you come with me? Because I'm not going up there by myself. Okay, so here's the part that's crazy to me with Michelle. And I think I even might have said this when I talked about the episode where Jenna showed up wearing like a referee outfit. Both Sheena and Jenna were in the same outfit, so it seemed like they were the ones that were there almost together, if anyone was there together. But Sheena calls Jenna her best friend, Kristen says. And Zach was like, yes, that's... So what are you not getting about this, Michelle? The reason why Jenna's around more is because of Sheena. 100. And that makes so much sense to me, you guys. So I'm wondering, was Sheena trying to be the villain on this whenever she showed up? Because they do this little like clip montage, and then Sheena talking to someone is like, but I'm like still gonna talk shit behind your back and probably again to your face. Like really giving it the villain edit, her giving herself the villain edit. So I was like, oh wait, was that her goal? So then it makes sense that she would be like, oh wait, Jenna and Aaron hooked up, so that's a good in. So I'll make sure to bring Jenna around because that'll be good TV. Like I would not be surprised if Sheena was producing like this. But then here Michelle is like, Kristen is the reason why it's suddenly happening. But then unfortunately, we get a flashback of Kristen meeting Aaron for the first time on camera and being so messy. She's like, oh, yeah, you know Jenna Willis, who's a very good friend of mine, which is kind of how I knew who you were. And they're like, uh-huh. Because he's like, yeah, Jenna, okay, what? So Kristen was also like clearly trying to be messy. So I kind of, I was like, never mind. Maybe it was a little bit more. Maybe it was a little bit more Kristen being, because Kristen and Michelle were not good. So, so now it could be anybody at this point. But Kristen then takes it to a 20. She's yelling at Janet, you've been up my ass this whole summer telling me that you wanted to repair things, and then you scream at me like that. And Janet is so self-righteous in this. I wanted to strangle her. She's like, I did want to repair things until you spread rumors about my husband. Now, look, Kristen's like, that thing that I did that I admitted I just did because of what you did with what you were doing with Danny and Nia? We already got past that. And Janet is now then defending Jason's honor. But Kristen is literally like saying, I don't believe it either. I agree with you. He's a great person. I know he is an upstanding, wonderful, trustworthy, committed man, 100%, that would never, ever do anything. And then I'm with Kristen. Kristen was like, okay, get past your little speech here. I would have been the same way. Like, okay, we already know this, Janet. What are you doing this for the cameras? Like, what are you doing? And then Janet goes, stop doing this when I'm speaking. That's rude. And so Kristen's just like, okay, well. And I know he would never do anything that you're accusing him of. Kristen laughs at this. And now Janet, oh, you're going to laugh at that? Kristen's like, I did not accuse him of anything. I repeated something. That line needs to go away from everybody's. It doesn't matter. When you say something about someone's actions, even if it's repeating it, now it's like out there. It's pretty much the same thing. But also, Janet, this is so stupid. Like why are you guys obsessing over this? Jason and Janet are the only ones freaking out this bad. No one else cares about it. No one. So Kristen says again, I did it because you were attacking Danny and Nia. And Janet goes, attacked Danny and Nia or said out loud what he did? I said out loud that he sexually assaulted Jasmine and Melissa. Now, this is not a shock to us. We've heard her say this already. We've already heard her say this. So Kristen walks away mad and she's fuming, but like we've heard her say this. And I hate that even in the after show, they have to admit it. Technically, what Danny did was a sexual assault. I know that's a like harsh language, and should it be used like that? Probably not. And Janet is being messy by doing that because it didn't happen to her. It didn't happen to her. And by saying something like that, then you're making victims out of Michelle, Melissa, and Jasmine. And maybe they don't want to be considered victims like that. Or they are, though, yes, which is why they've talked to him. But by Janet doing that, it's like, well, no, you weren't. It just feels weird. It feels wrong. It feels real. Like you guys just hate Danny and Nia. Hate. But then remember I've been saying over and over again, like unless Janet has another example of Danny being wasted and too much and too handsy and whatever, then I don't think that this is fair for them to be going for Danny this hard. Well, apparently, Janet said to, like, there's like some yoga event that they did that they flash back to. And Janet is telling them about how Danny had had one too many and was being inappropriate at this fan event. And he was making a group of women uncomfortable. And after Jason pulled him away and was like, dude, you have a wife, you have kids, don't do this. And he said that allegedly Danny said, Nia will always be up here, but I have a weakness for hot girls in little skirts. Now, that's a very specific story she told there. And Jason is at the center of it. Jason heard it, apparently. Well, after researching all around and listening to all the after shows, only person who actually heard it, allegedly, is Jared, Janet's friend that we've seen pop up. So Jason's like, I didn't hear it. And then it was like, well, no, Brittany and Jared heard it. And then Brittany's like, I didn't hear it. Just Jared heard it. So I'm a little hesitant because I think that Janet's been on a mission to, but I will say this, Danny doesn't deny that there was a conversation that was had between him and Jason following this fan event where he said Jason was looking out for him and telling him, like, you know, some of the behavior you did wasn't great. But according to Danny in the after show, Jason was like, you did nothing wrong at all. But maybe you just want to watch it with this and with that. I still think that Danny's being a little weird about it. I'm sticking with it. I can enjoy this whole show by having both these opinions that Janet and Jason kind of suck and are very self-righteous and high and mighty and all that stuff. But I also do think that Danny is concealing his dysfunctional relationship with alcohol and the calamities that come with when he does drink. And they all can attest to there was some weekend where he was, quote, out of character. Like Brittany's like, yeah, that one weekend was bad. Like that one weekend was bad. So if more people witnessed him being pretty bad, then I think that it's fair to say that. And I feel bad for Nia because I know that she would talk about it more comfortably if she could, but I don't think Danny would ever allow it because I think he's in denial. I do. I think he's in denial. But that doesn't keep me from thinking that what Janet and Jason are doing is just really vile. Because it's the way Janet is approaching it. You know, she's too, like, happy about it. She's like, unfortunately for Danny, the definition of what he did is a sexual assault. So I'm sorry that he did that, but I'm not going to be painted as the bad guy for that. And then she's in her confessional. She's like, having a lawyer of a husband is tough because if you use the legal terms for stuff, people get really upset. It's just like a yucky quality, you know, because these people are supposed to be your friends. This whole group of, like, that's what we're watching on this show. And so if they're not your friends, if Danny and Nia are not your friends so much that they're like your enemies, even though she wants to say that I like you guys. Okay. I don't really get it. This isn't the approach to have. This sounds like someone you just really dislike. But maybe they've tried to have this conversation with Danny before. I don't know. I'm not giving them any more leeway though. But now it's kicked back off because everyone has come up to, that's why I love a boat fight, because they have nowhere else to go. It's a boat, you know, so they can only go so many places. And also most people are sick and nauseous. All right. Well, Janet comes up right as Danny is asking Jason about the skirt comment. And Jason, like, we've just been told that Janet heard it from Jason. And Jason goes, well, I heard it from Janet. And in the after show, Danny points this out. You can see Janet kind of look at Jason sort of like, wait, no, you told it to me. Like, wait, what? And so because that skirt comment's gross. But I can't even imagine that coming out of his mouth. But maybe it did, because what did he say to Jasmine? Get daddy a drink or something. So maybe he said something about little skirts. Ew, gross. But anyway, Jason didn't hear it. Janet didn't hear it. Janet said she heard it from Jason. So, but Janet is like, she's on her high horse. She goes, I used the definition of what happened that night, and I'm sorry I had to do that. Nia goes, you had to? Or chose to. And then he's all pissed too. He's like, Danny, I'm sorry it's hard. You don't want me to talk about you, but you literally did these things. And Janet's, this is such a Karen thing. She goes, so getting mad at me for using words that you actually did? And Nia clocks her. She goes, and now you're yelling. Ooh, get her. That is a great way to shut down someone who thinks they're on a roll. Like, and now you're yelling. Because then all they can do is, okay, I'm frustrated. Okay, frustrated. Yeah. She's like, and then she goes, I don't want to be fighting with you guys. I actually like you guys. Okay. I'm like, we're going to take a break. So they walk away, but Janet is now yelling across the boat. Did I even bring up Danny tonight? And Luke now yelling across the boat in his tighty whities. He's like, yeah, you're talking about people and things that happened when you weren't even there. And then Jason is like, what is this? If somebody makes a mistake, it can't be talked about. Ask Jasmine and Melissa. Well, then Melissa's like, Jasmine in the after show goes, I would have said more, but I was throwing up. Melissa steps in and she goes, everybody here can just shut the fuck up about that situation. We're through with this. And Kristen goes, you, Janet. She's talking about you. And Janet goes, I didn't bring it up. And Kristen goes to a 50 clapping. She's like clapping in her face. She's like, you brought it up down there. Janet is such a bitch. But I mean, Kristen was clapping in her face, but she goes, get your weird hands out of my face. Oh my God, get your weird hands out of my face. And Jason goes, why are we protecting the wrong people? What? But I'm sorry, Zach, he's perfection. Zach goes, nobody is protecting anybody. We just want the truth. What a line delivery. We just want the truth. And then Kristen, get the fuck off my boat. How about that, bitch? It's my fucking engagement weekend. Bravo. Bravo. Incredible. Then they get back to the dock, thank God. And Kristen, as they're walking off the thing, Kristen goes, don't make me knock your ass out. And then she's like, oh, knock me out, Kristen. You're a fucking fan, bitch. And Janet, when Luke is walking by, she goes, congratulations on forever. Oh, don't touch him. She like patted him on the shoulder like that. Rude, condescending, disrespectful. But great scene. Great scene. Great fight. All around. So anyways, okay. That was a fun episode. I enjoyed that. So there we go. Anyway, I think I was going to cover the after show, but I believe I already touched on every point that I had in my notes. So I've already covered it. So there you go. All right, guys, I love you so much. Mean it. I'll see you next time. Bye. Thanks for tuning in to She's Speaking with Emily Hanks. This show is produced, hosted, and edited by me, Emily, and brought to you in partnership with Cloud 10 Media. If you are looking for bonus content, check out the Patreon. The link is in the description. To show some support, you can hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss an episode. Another free way to support the pod, please rate and/or review on whatever platform you listen. It's free, and it helps the algorithm or something. You could also head to buymeacoffee.com/shespeaks and buy me a coffee or two. Make sure you're following me on all social medias. I am She's Speaking with Emily Hanks across all platforms. Threads, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. That's it. Thank you guys. See you soon.